Hello, everybody. We are live from sunny Dorking again. I can't believe the weather. I mean, what is going on? I don't think in all the time we've been doing this, which is probably however many weeks now. When did it? March 23rd.
3 years ago.
About 3 years ago. It feels like it's been sunny every single weekend we've done this. Like, I don't remember it being rainy, really, or cold. Amazing. Anyway, welcome to Extreme Crochet, Giant Crochet Cushion Tutorial. Now, I'm imagining we're going to have a mixture of people who, some of whom know how to crochet, some of whom maybe have never crocheted, but would rather like to make this splendid cushion, which is a kind of a take on my giant floor cushion. Let me just grab it very quickly. Ugh, so heavy. From my book, Easy Stuff to Make with Fluff. Actually, talking of that, as I do, just before we start, that is my book, Easy Stuff to Make with Fluff. There's quite a number of projects in here for giant crochet and giant knitting. I'm just going to show you this rug as well. Again, oh, we've lost the cushion. This rug, quite heavy. It's about, I think, two and a bit kilos of wool in that. But that's crocheted very similarly to the cushion I'm going to show you. The floor cushion that I first showed you was knitted, okay? Giant knitting. I'm going to show you that briefly, very briefly as well. And I also wanted to show you this, because this is quite fun. This is in the book too. This is just a plant pot cover. And obviously I put some felt flowers on the front because I put felt flowers on everything. And this took 700 grams of wool. But again, it's crocheted. So quick. Oh, I like quick, don't you? It's got to be quick. If it's going to take me years to make it, then I'm probably not going to make it. So that's in there as well. So today I'm going to show you how to make this chappy, which is only 500 grams of wool tops, okay? So it makes it kind of more affordable. We've looked at getting the fake wool tops in the past, which are a bit cheaper, but they're a bit sort of squeaky. Don't know, not sure about those. We like wool. Well, I like wool anyway. So 500 grams of wool tops for the front. I have used a piece of Odile beautiful fat quarter for the back, which I'll talk more about in a bit. And then I've used these giant pom-poms around the edge, and then some little felt flowers on the front with some button centres. So I'm going to talk you all through it. What we're going to start off by doing, though, is showing you how to crochet the front. Honestly, when I show you this in a second, you'll realise how fast it is. You can have this done in 20 minutes, basically, if you know how to crochet. If you don't know how to crochet, maybe you'll just take a little bit longer, but it is super, super fast. So if you're going to do knitting, we'll just wait for the police car to go past. No, ambulance. Ooh. If you're going to do knitting, I have got a pair of giant knitting needles here, just ready to go. They look so ridiculous, don't they? You could probably use broom handles, but actually these circular ones are easier, if I'm honest, and they give you more scope to do bigger things as well. If you're using the wool tops that we sell, anything from a 25mm upwards. So these are a 30, so you could use a 25, a 30 or a 35, okay? Obviously the bigger they are, the bigger the holes, kind of the further it goes, the bigger the thing that you end up making. Same with the crochet hook. So I've got a 30mm crochet hook here. Again, I would use a 25 or a 30 ideally if you're going to be doing this. These are some needles made by somebody that I used to make them for the shop. This is the last pair that we have actually, and they're way more expensive, £31.95. They are beautiful, I hasten to add, and they're hardwood. But I just wanted to show you how you could do the cushion knitted. I mean, obviously it's going to be square, not round, unless you're a very clever knitter. But I have cast on, if you're knitting, just briefly, I'm just going to talk about this first and then we'll go on to the crochet cushion. If you want to knit, I've cast on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 stitches. So that's it. I haven't actually knitted one of these up with 500 grams, so it may end up being slightly more rectangular than completely square, or you could stop when it was completely square, but I reckon 7 stitches is probably going to be about right. Okay, so that's it. And then you would literally just knit. Giant knitting. And of course, some of you may want to do arm knitting. That's a thing. You can do it just on your arms. You can Google that and you'll find a video. So there we go, giant knitting. I have to say, sorry, I know I'm banging the table. Having done both of these methods for my book, the crochet is easier, okay? I mean, I learnt to crochet before I learnt to knit, and I just think it's easier. I know some people don't like it, but at the end of the day, you have got one thing as opposed to 2, and it's just more manageable, and it's way more manageable when you are doing extreme or giant crochet with wool tops. So that's my preference between the 2, although obviously I have done a lot of the knitting as well. And some people just love to knit. So there we are. I'm going to talk you through how much you need for various projects at the end. And I'm also going to show you how to join 2 pieces together, because often you won't have all the wool tops in one long piece. Or some of you I know are going to do this with 2 different colours or maybe more. It's very easy. Don't panic about that. I'm going to talk you through that in a little while. But first of all, let's get down to how we do the crochet. Okay. All right. So we've got the overhead camera here. I've started it off. I'm just going to undo that and start again from the beginning. Now, I must point out here that I am not an expert crocheter. I am a fast, get it done crocheter. Okay. And sometimes I do things in a certain way because I find it easier to do it that way, and there are other ways of doing it. I'm just going to give that as a little precursor here in case I've got any expert crocheters watching this going, oh, you shouldn't be doing it like that. Oh no, you want to be doing it like that. But obviously there's lots of different ways of doing crochet and knitting. Everyone's got their own way of casting on, casting off, this, that and the other. Anyhow, this is just a fast way to get this done. All right, so let's get down to it. So the first thing you need to do is to make a loop to put your crochet hook into, all right? I'm going to try and keep this in the right place on the table so you can all see what I'm doing. And then you're going to chain 4 more stitches. So it's always yarn over hook. Always bring the yarn over from right to left, okay? And you're going to bring it under there. So you're going to pull that through once, same thing again, pull it through twice, same thing again, pull it through 3 times, same thing again, pull it through 4 times, all right? And then what you're going to do is you're going to join these together. They're going into the first loop, okay? And then you're going to bring the yarn, again, yarn over hook, and then you're bringing it through both of those and joining them, okay? So now what we've got here is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, now what you could do is you could then get a little bit of contrasty thread, and you could just wrap some around that last stitch, which will show you where, like a row if you like. Okay, I'm not going to bother doing that now, but if you would, I mean, if you were doing something a little bit more complicated or bigger, you might want to know where your row finished. So that's it's like a stitch marker almost, okay? So that's just a little top tip there. But what we're going to do now, with these five loops that we've made, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we're going to start crocheting into them, and we're going to use a double crochet stitch. Now then, just to make life really complicated, the double crochet stitch is a single crochet stitch in the USA. Whoever made that up? It's annoying, frankly, isn't it? Because it's just confusing. But anyway, so the UK double crochet stitch in the USA is referred to as a single crochet stitch, which completely buggers up all patterns, excuse my language, if you don't realise that. Okay, so what I'm showing you today is a UK double crochet stitch. But do you know what? I mean, you could do a slightly different stitch and this would still work. So let's not get bogged down with details. I'm just going to show you what I've been doing. All right. So I'm going to insert my hook into the first loop like this. Okay. I'm going to bring the yarn over the hook and I'm going to bring it through. So now I've got 2 loops on my hook. I'm going to bring the yarn over again, and then I'm going to pull it through. Ta-da! Okay. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going into each of these loops twice. All right, so I'm going into there again, yarn over hook, bring it through. Got 2 on my hook now. So I'm going yarn over hook again and bringing them through both of the loops. All right, first one done. There's my next one there. Okay, have I got this in the right place, Chris? Yes. I'm going in, okay, yarn over hook and bringing it through. Okay. Now, all of the time that you're doing this, keep it really loose, okay? The looser the better, because at the end of the day, you're making a circle and you want it to lie flat, all right? So don't get it too tight. Yarn over hook, bring it through both, all right? So I'm going to do this so many times, hopefully you'll get it. So the first thing that you do with each of the stitches is you go in to where you're doing the stitch. You put the yarn over and you bring it through in order to create that second one on the hook. Yarn over, always right to left, and through both. All right, so now I've done 2 in there. So then onto my next loop here, okay? I'm going in, yarn over hook, bring it through, and always just bring it through so that it lies flat, yarn over hook, and bring it through both, okay? Into that one again, because we're doing 2 in each. So in, yarn over hook, bring it through, over, and then through those 2. Okay, can you see what's happening here? Look, it's nearly finished. I'm going into the loop, bring it through, yarn over hook, and through both. Then I'm going to go in this one again. I'm just going to free up a bit more of my yarn, stroke wool tops. Okay, by the way, this is my favourite colour. It's called Pale Yellow Olive, if you want to get some. Into the loop, sorry, hook, bring it through, over the hook, and through both. All right, so I've done 2 of those. Then this one here, into the loop, yarn over hook, bring it through, yarn over hook. You can see how you can like really speed up with this. You could have it done in 10 minutes. So for the first 2 rows, you're going to do 2 in each. And then for the last bit, you can do 1 and then 2, 1 and then 2. So at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what you do as long as it lies flat. You don't want it to end up like a little bowl and be convex or concave. You want it to be quite flat. Are you impressed with my terminology there that I remember from school? I am. Have I done 2 in this one, or have I only done 1? No, I've only done 1. I've only done 1. So going to go in there again, bring it through, and then through both of the loops. All right, so let's do one in slow motion again. If any of you are following this as I'm doing it, and you're like, what? What's she doing? Slow down, woman. Okay, so into the loop, all right? Yarn over hook, right to left, and bring it through. That's stage 1. Stage 2, yarn over hook, and bring it through both loops. Ta-da! All right, we're going into the same loop again, because this is getting bigger. It needs more stitches because of the, can't think of the technical term, but to keep it flat, we've got to do more stitches to start with. Bring it through, yarn over hook, and through both. All right. Okay, on to the next one here. So now we're just following these, as we're creating them, we're following these stitches round. So the next one is here. So we're going in, over, through, through. Okay, in, over, through, through. Next one, in, over, and through. And then in, let me just get more off, over, and through. And so on, in, over, and through, in. Look, it's nearly made, isn't it? Has anyone got any questions so far? Can they see how this is going? Yes, we do have a question. Go ahead, caller.
We've got a question from Michelle Rayner.
Okay.
On Facebook. It looks as though that you're just going through the front of the stitch.
Yes.
Rather than all the way through. Is that right?
I'm going through the middle of it. So I'm not going through both of the loops. I'm going through the back one. Does that make sense? I'm going through the back one each time. Now, do you know what? You could go through both if you want to. all right? You just get a slightly different look and a slightly different pattern. I could go through both. I've chosen to just go through one. This is what I mean about this being a bit of a movable feast, you know. You're just, as long as you're doing roughly what I'm doing, you're going to get roughly the same outcome. But I'm just getting this like nice swirly pattern as I'm doing it. Whatever you do, keep it consistent, I think is what I would say there. So if you want to go through both of them, you can, but make sure you do it for all of them, not just the odd one here and there. Just make sure you do it for all of them. So, so I've done 2 in there. And then if you feel like it's getting too flared, if that's a thing, if you know what I mean, it's lying flat or going the other way, then you just do 1. So I think I've got to the point now where that might start to happen. Okay, so I think I've done the equivalent of about 2 rows. So now I'm going to do 1 in there. Okay, and then I'm going to do 2 in the next one. Oh, I'm getting really twisted. Oh, my wool top's twisted, you know? First world problems. My wool top's twisted. Right, there we go. All right, and then I'll do another 1 in this one. Oh, God, it's really twisted. Now, at this point, I'm going to stop this. And I'm going to show you how to join 2 colours together, okay? Because this is something I get asked quite a lot. So I'm just going to move this out of the way slightly, and I'm going to move into shot these 2 colours here. And I feel because of Instagram being portrait, I'm going to do it no, I'm not. I'm going to do it this way. Sorry, Instagram. All right, so can you see how these pieces of wool top sort of taper into a point like this? So what we need to do is just overlap them so that they're about the same width in the middle as the wool tops is normally, okay, like so. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to get some contrasty yarn, and I'm just going to cut off a bit, and I'm going to tie it up just here. Yes. Oh, sorry. Yes.
Very bad vision mixing from me there. I do apologise.
Why? Were you looking at my nose instead of...
I was looking at your mush while I was trying to read messages.
Okay. Shall I do that again then?
Do you know what? I would, because I didn't see you start doing it.
Useless. Okay. All right. So where did you see? Did you see me going like this and saying that you need to put one piece over the other? Yes. Okay. All right. So we're gonna put one piece over the other, so it's about the same in the middle, like this. All right. And it's about the same thickness, and then it tapers here and here. So it will sort of, now if I feel that going along, it's about the same. So then I'm going to get some contrasty yarn. I'm going to cut a couple of bits of that yarn off, and I'm literally just going to tie it up like there. Okay. You can tie it quite tightly so that it doesn't come apart, trim the ends off. And then I'm going to tie the other bit here, like this. So obviously this could happen even if you've got the same colour and it's in 2 bits, yeah? Which I was going to show you actually, because I've got a bit of white that finishes, and then I was going to join it to that bit of white, but I thought actually it'd be easier to see it if I'd used 2 different colours. But either or. And then I've just trimmed the edge off there as well, back to the overhead camera. Okay, like that. And so now I would literally just carry on. So if I just bring my crochet back here for a second and just use this for a minute, just to show you what I mean. So say I was now carrying on with this. It's not going to work, but you just carry on with it as normal like this, okay? And then when you get to the end of what you're doing and you've made the whole thing, it will be secured in here, and then you can undo your yarn, all right? And it should all sort of stay together. If it doesn't, then I would recommend getting a bit of yarn that's the same colour as your wool tops and just putting a little knot in there. But it should be okay, especially if you then look at the back. If you bring through the back and you weave in your ends, okay, and you just have your ends woven in on the back of the second colour, yeah, then it should definitely stay in place. All right, so I'm just going to get rid of that, having shown you how to do that. And I'm going to move on to Blue Peter Styly, to the one that I prepared earlier. For those of you watching abroad, if you don't know what Blue Peter is, it's a kids program where they used to make things. Well, they still have it. They still have it on the telly books. And they were famous for saying, here's one I made earlier. Sorry, we've got a question, have we? Is that why you're waving at me?
I was waving
Oh,
at you,
okay,
yes,
yeah. Go on then, yes.
Amongst doing all the other things.
Yes, no,
that
I
have
know,
to
I
do,
know, I
pushing
know.
buttons
Yes.
and reading things
I know.
and keeping things in focus.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah, go ahead with the question then.
So, Glynis Clark,
Hi, Glynis.
is your
Yeah.
fluff in one long skein when we buy 500 grams?
Yes, yeah. Well, I mean, you know, where we can, because we buy it in kilos usually. So sometimes we'll buy like 3 kilos of it or 5 kilos of a colour. So we would wind you off 500 grams of it if you bought 5 lots of 100 grams. Yeah, absolutely. We'll give it to you in one big ball if we can. Occasionally it might have a break in it and then you'd do what I've just shown you. Yeah?
Another question from Jane Godfrey on Instagram.
Hello, Jane.
Love this, but I'm presuming this kind of cushion wouldn't be able to be cleaned.
I mean, you can hand wash it gently with woolite. You know, it's the same with anything felty, anything that you're using wool tops for, anything that's like hand wash only jumper. It's a hand wash only jumper, basically. Yeah, you'd need to be really careful. Having said that, though, wool is very resilient to a lot of stuff because of the lanolin in it. And often if you spill something on it, it won't sink in per se. What tends to happen, if anything, is it might just look a little bit grubby and it will pill a little bit and you'll just have to pull bits off. That's generally all I ever do with felted stuff or woolly stuff like this. So if you imagine you know, a hand wash only best ever knitted jumper, you kind of have to treat it like that. And obviously it's got a cotton back. So yeah, that's what I would advise. Any more questions or shall I carry on?
No.
Carry on. All right, so you would carry on like that, and then here's the one I prepared earlier. Now, I have not finished this completely on purpose because I'm actually going to kind of dismantle it to show you my dreadful sewing inside. Okay, so if we're looking overhead again, I'm just going to turn it around to the back here, and you can see the back that I've made for it. I'm just going to undo the pin, and I'm actually going to take all of the stuffing out. Now, I used polyester toy stuffing, all right, which I'm just going to discard over there for a minute. I mean, my preference would be to get a cushion pad, if I'm honest, but time didn't allow for that. I think that's all of it out. Now, I'm just going to now, oh, there's a bit more. I'm just now going to turn it inside out, and I'm going to explain what you would do when you'd finished the crochet bit and when you are going to try and piece this together to make the cushion. All right. Okay, so there's the back of the crochet bit. When you actually get to the edge and you've finished and you've literally run out of wool tops, I can't actually, oh, it's here. You just literally want to do your last loop, as it were. Let me bring this back a second, show you. So say this is your last loop. You bring the last loop through and you'd pull it tight. Yeah, you'd pull it, you'd take the hook out, you'd pull it tight, okay, obviously without a loop because it's the end. Pull it tight so you've got an end on it, and then you would just literally weave in your end, just like weave it in and out of some of the stitches, okay, to keep it tight at the edge. And that's fine, that's all you need to do. So that's what I did here. Then the next thing I did after I've done that is I cut out the pieces for the back of the cushion. Now, I used a piece of Odile, a fat quarter. I used this one actually, the blue. That's the colours those come in, okay. For today, I'm just going to show you using a piece of this, which is another fabric that we sell, that I've got, happen to have in the studio. Just going to show you roughly what I did. So I'm just going to lay out that fabric there because this is very Gillian, this is. This is basically laying the cushion onto the fabric, okay, and then this...
Do you want to just push it up slightly? We've not seen the bottom of your shot.
How's that?
It's a bit better.
A bit better, yeah? Let me just push everything out the way. Okay, so this is kind of what I did. I laid it like this, I got a marker pen, and then I literally just drew a line, probably about an inch or so from the edge of my finished cushion. Make it nice and big, all right? I've trimmed this down a little bit. Let me show you it this way round. Okay. And I just cut out 2 semicircles that were slightly longer than they needed to be. All right. So there's the first one. There's the second one, so that they overlap. Look, there they are. All right. And then I didn't have a sewing machine with me at home when I was doing this, and I made it really quickly. So please don't look at my sewing. Don't judge my sewing. I've just done it really quickly. I've hemmed both of those edges. If you don't want to be bothered with quite so much sewing, I do recommend also making the back out of some felt, all right? So you could just use felt, and then you don't need to worry about hemming edges, and you can just cut it and sew it. So that's another option. So what I did was I cut these 2 larger than they needed to be semicircles. I overlapped them, all right? And then right sides together. So there's the right side of my cushion with the little felt flowers on it, which I'll talk about in a minute. And then there's the right side of my fabric. They're together. They're overlapping. They've been hemmed and they're overlapping. And then you just need to sew it all together round the edge. And you can see how I've done that by hand. Now, if you're a great seamstress, you might be able to squidge that in the sewing machine. You may need a special foot to do that. It might be a bit tricky. Can you see this on Instagram? Can you see what I'm talking about? Yeah. Shall I bring it down a little bit? Can you see my finger here? Oh, less so now. Anyway, you just need to be really careful when you're sewing it together and do it really quite well. This probably isn't a great example. I was just doing backstitch, but you just want to get it together as best you can, okay? And then obviously once that's all done and it's all sewn together, turn it back out the right way. And you can trim these edges, or you could use some pinking shears actually to stop it from fraying. You can turn it back out the right way, and then I'm just going to talk you through the finishing touches. Now, you could trap the giant pom-poms into the seam. Are you back to me? Yeah. You could trap them in. Well, I don't know now, do I? But I thought that just might make things even more complicated. If you did want to do that, you'd have them inside when you're sewing it together. I decided to add them on afterwards on the outside. So I've sewn this on separately at the end on the outside, because I thought then I'd be more in control of where they sat. All right, so the pom-poms hang down on this giant pom-pom trim. I've got the red here to show you. Where's the end? Here. So they hang down on one side of it, obviously. So I wanted to have them coming this way. I didn't want them to be hanging the other way. So I decided to just sew it on afterwards anyway. So matching thread, just sew it around the edge, then, you know, overlap a little bit at the end. And that's that. Okay, so that's easy. That's your pom-pom trim. And obviously once you've turned it the right way around, you can't see the seam, yada, yada. And then ideally you'd probably just have a cushion pad, but I used probably about 2.5 packets of this. It's only £1.95. It's not very expensive. It's our polyester toy stuffing. I'm not going to stuff it all again, but that went in there like that. And then obviously what I would normally do would then be to either put some Velcro here or a couple of buttons maybe, or just something to hold it together at the back. So I will do that. Now, on the front here, you can see I've done my lovely little felt flowers on the front. Just going to talk you through those really quickly. I'm just going to pop some bits and bobs just here. Oh, that's just matching thread. We don't need that. So I've just got some little pieces of felt. We do a little mini felt bundle, which is ideal for this. And then I've used these mother of pearl buttons. Is this in the right place, Chris? I can't actually see my markers. Yeah. These little mother of pearl buttons are for the centres of the flowers, so they work brilliantly, but obviously any buttons would be fine. I'm just going to talk you through making one of these little felt flowers, because I've done this a few times in some of my tutorials, but let's just do it again with the overhead camera. So I'm just going to go for this, like, you know, typically me, just completely freehand. Now, if you wanted to, you could have a little pattern. You could trace something round, or you could go round something round, although I have to say it doesn't matter too much with this kind of thing, so you don't really notice at the end. Then you're going to make a cut at 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and 9 o'clock, so it's got into 4 quarters. Then you're going to cut in between each of those, so you end up with 8. Okay. Comme ça. Right, there we go, 8 pieces. Then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to quickly round off the petals like so. I'm not going to go all the way around to show you, but I'm just doing that, and then I turn it round and then I do the other side. And then you can see how I create the petals like that. And then you're going to end up with that. With the leaves, I mean, again, I just hand cut these, you know, without any kind of pattern. But again, you could just draw yourself a little pattern if you want to. The felt doesn't fray, so you are literally go one way, go the other way. Actually, these look really nice with pinking shears as well if you do these with pinking shears, because it gives a little serrated edge to your leaf. And that's all there is to that. So then I chose a little button to go in the centre. Let's move that out the way. And then I randomly just sewed these on. So I got a matching needle and thread and just sewed them on here and there, willy-nilly. Love that. Willy-nilly, that's what we need, a little bit of willy-nilly. Nothing too uniform. So that is all there is to it. I reckon you could make this from beginning to end in an hour, you know, if you didn't stop for a cup of tea or to walk the dog. But, you know, maybe a couple of hours if you're doing the sewy bit as well. But really so fast doing this giant crochet, giant knitting. It just really doesn't take any time at all. Now, a couple of things. Some people ask me, doesn't it look awful after a few months on your sofa? Well, no, not if you're careful. I mean, obviously, people come in, I go, don't lean on that cushion. you know, it's fine. People are going to lean on the cushion. Just pull bits off every now and again. It goes a bit fluffy. Let me show you where's it gone? The one that keeps falling down. So this has been around for a couple of years now. And this one is a little bit fluffy, isn't it? I just pull the bits off, you know, it's white, but it's fine, you know, and that's to be expected. So, you know, wear and tear, I would just, yeah, it's not going to get filthy dirty, like I said. I mean, you know, by the nature of wool, it's just going to kind of repel stuff, you know, unless somebody puts their dirty football boots on it and puts their feet on it. And then, but you know what, once the mud is dry, you would just go, and all the dust would fly off. Maybe give it a hoover. You could give it a hoover, pull bits off, be fine. Right, the next thing I'm going to talk to you about, people often come into the shop or contact us and they say, how much do I need to make a blanket? Everyone wants to make a blanket either for the sofa or the bed or whatever. Now, it does take quite a lot of wool, all right? So I'm just going to just quickly talk you through how much you'd need. I would say to make the floor cushion here was 1.75 kilos for the front of the cushion only, all right? Bearing in mind that's 500 grams just for the front of that as well. So if you're going to make a big floor cushion, that's 1.75 kilos. A small blanket, which is probably going to be something like 1.5 meters by about 70 centimetres, that's going to take about 5 kilos. Okay, it's quite a lot of wool, so you're kind of investing in this a bit. A medium blanket that's like 1.5 meters square, you're going to need about 7 kilos. And then a large blanket, which is what everyone dreams of, if we're talking about 1.5 meters by about 2 meters, would be about 9 kilos. So I know that's a lot, but yeah, it is what it is. It may be, if a lot of you want us to stock the acrylic version of this, we may get it in a couple of different colours. So certainly send me a message if this is cost prohibitive for you and you'd like another option. Like I said, it's a bit squeaky, but it would still work. So I have thought about getting it in like pale grey and cream or something, you know, the popular colours as another option. So I'd appreciate a message from you if you're interested in that. But otherwise, we have got the wool tops. I mean, we love wool here. We're all about proper wool, you know, and obviously the fake stuff essentially is kind of plastic, really. It won't just biodegrade, whereas obviously wool will. But we have this in over 70 different colours, as I've mentioned many times. And we have our house blends. And in fact, the rug was done using Angel's Delight, which is this gorgeous blend that we do that uses Blueface Leicester with these colours in it. And then we have loads of other blends as well. So yeah, they're all really gorgeous, aren't they? So that's it, really. Any more questions about this? Oh, I am going to do a blog post about how I've made this. I'll try and do that this afternoon because I know that you want the details. How many chains do I do? How many rows do I do? I'm going to put that in a blog post on the website this afternoon, hopefully, or give me 24 hours. And that's always on our homepage at the bottom is where you access the blogs. Okay. Any more questions on that? No. Silence. Silencio. All right, so we're going to hopefully do one more of these next week, next Saturday. Oh, my husband's making a face. I'm going to confirm that on social media and in an email, but I'm hoping to just do these bracelets. Can you, hang on, let me use this special camera. Oh, wakey, wakey. All right, so can you see these bracelets from my very big hairy arm? They've got these little tassels and pom-poms and beads, and there's a little button on there as well. Okay, back to me. What I'm going to do, I'm just going to quickly show you what I'll be using. Right, I'm going to be using beading wire. Very exciting. Looks like that. Get a roll of 5 meters. I'm going to be using some of our Toho glass seed beads, which come in all the colours of the rainbow and are beautiful. So that's those. And then we've just got back into stock, actually, all of our tassels, mini pom-poms in all these beautiful colours. We've got turquoises, reds, multicoloured. Lovely. Might make a necklace as well, actually. So I'm thinking that I'll do that next Saturday, hopefully. Is that going to be okay, Christopher? Sorry, I should have cleared this. Oh, sorry. Were you? Talking to who? Talking to someone? No, just trying to get rid of them. Okay, next Saturday, hopefully, doing this, maybe.
There's a lot of moving parts in this operation. I need to coordinate with everybody involved and see if they're prepared to do it again. It's down to demand, I suppose.
Anyway, so look forward to seeing you again soon, hopefully next Saturday. Any more questions before we disappear? Stand by. Let me get rid of these. Enjoy the weather today. There's 2 more days of complete sunshine. Oh, here's a question.
Katie Cox at home.
Hi, Katie.
Is asking, could we see the blended rug again?
Yes.
The other side of it.
Yes. Oh, yes. Okay. So here's the front, Katie. Okay. And then here's the back. It looks pretty similar, if I'm honest. Look, there's an end that I haven't woven in properly. So there's the end. Okay, so what I should probably have done really is just... Oh, sorry. So what I should probably have done is just hooked that end in a bit better on the back. Sorry, like that. But yes, that is the back. Okay, so it looks pretty similar, doesn't it? Does that answer what you wanted to see? Hopefully it does. Yes, next.
Another question from Kerry Zupp.
Hello, Kerry.
Fancy a G&T? It's a bit early, isn't it, Kerry
Well,
Zupp?
I don't know. What's the expression? Is there something past the yard arm?
Sun.
The sun.
The sun.
Is the sun past the yard
past
arm?
the yard arm?
If so, then I'd get the gin out, you know. Although I'm obviously not encouraging people to drink alcohol if it's inappropriate for them to be doing so. Any more for any more?
Hold on.
Let me show you this as well again. Nice with a plant in it.
Yeah, you've been asked, can you remind us what to do if the cushion starts curling, please?
Yes, so if it's going concave or convex, it means you're not doing enough stitches to keep it flat. So you need to do 2 in each one, okay, to make it flat, so that you're sort of flattening it out. I can't think of like the mathematical words that describe that. Something about the radius, like when you're going around the radius, you need to keep the radius flat. So you need more stitches. So make sure you're doing 2 in 1. You could even do 3 in 1 if necessary. So if it starts to curl up one way, I mean, ideally, if it does curl, you want it to sort of curl round that way, because if it does slightly, then you're getting it to be a slight sort of cushiony shape curving that way. then that's okay if it does it a bit. But you don't want it to be really bowl-shaped, because then your cushion will look a little bit ridiculous, unless you're trying to do that on purpose and making a round, completely round 3D cushion. Oh, that's another idea. So, yeah, so just make sure you put enough stitches in it to keep it flat. Are we there?
Yes.
We've done 40 minutes.
Thank you. Love the cameraman.
Love the cameraman, love the vision mixer. Much love to Christopher, my husband, who has done so much hard work behind the scenes to make this happen on so many different platforms, and his colleague Dickie, who's in somewhere else restreaming the live stream. Don't understand all the details, but big thanks to them.
It's very, very difficult, you know.
Loves talking into that microphone. Anyway, right, okay, we're going. So fingers crossed we'll be back next Saturday, yes? Is that okay, do you think? Haven't got much else on at the moment. And
I'm sure it's possible.
good. And we'll just be, it's going to be a simple one next week then. Simple, let's keep it simple. Just really simple little bracelets and necklaces and stuff. But good for kids as well, though, if you're interested. All right, have a lovely day, you all. Bye now. Bye.